Hello, welcome to this baconbits video, where we're going to talk about a new feature to Bacon 4.5, ChatBLT. So now in Bacon, we have a specialized AI chatbot, which can help you in automating your environment by helping you create scripts, states, and answering general IT questions or questions about Bacon. So if you noticed here, if you're familiar with the UI, we now have this little gray bar down here, and I can either drag this up manually, or I can just click this little arrow, and it will fully take over the screen. Let's start with explaining how the chatbot works. So very simply, first off, we have this type of message option. This is how we're going to talk to it. We'll type in some stuff here, either hit enter or click the little send button on the right hand side. Over on the left, we can see how many credits you have used from an organizational level, and if your chatbot is currently connected. And above that, we have our new chat option where you can open up a brand new chat session, or we have the option of looking at previous chats. If you've had other conversations you want to reference, you can click on these to see that kind of thing. So you can see I've done some testing, and so I have different chats in here. But for right now, we're going to do a new chat. And if you're familiar with a webinar, I kind of went down this rabbit hole there too, just to show off the chatbot. But we're going to ask some very simple questions and then increase the complexity. So let's start with a very easy one. What is Bacon used for? Now, as I use this chatbot, you're going to see that whenever we send a command back, it's going to be a little bit slower than like a direct model. That's just how the API works, where it has to kind of calculate what it's saying and then give us the whole thing back as a block. Versus something like ChatGPT might give you one character at a time to kind of cover up that little loading time. So here we can see Bacon is an endpoint management solution. You can kind of read the rest of this yourself, but you're able to ask it questions in just normal speech. So next up, let's see if I wanted to have it build me something. In this case, I'll say I want to write a salt state to install Chrome on macOS using a .pkg. So I kind of have these all pre-typed out for me just to save the time it takes me to write them in the chat and then correct any typos and stuff like that. Although I have had some pretty good results with any kind of typos and stuff. It usually does like a pretty good job. All right, so we can see it wrote a basic example of a solid state. And so let's say I've installed Chrome for the name of the whole thing, then function package.installed, Google Chrome, sources, Google Chrome, then it points to a salt link for the PKG. If you're not familiar, you can actually get that salt link by clicking the copy URL button whenever you upload a file to the repository and you mouse over the actions, and it has that option there for you. So in theory, this will pull our PKG from the server and then install it using package.installed. Now, how about if we want to have it actually write a script? It's not something Bacon specific, really more of like just a standard sysadmin kind of thing. So here I want to have it write a script to check if WinRM is configured on a Windows desktop. So I'll send this over. And what you'll kind of see here is the wait time is either going to be due to high usage of the service itself. So we're using the ChatGPT 4 backend. And so depending on what's happening, we may not be the first people in line. I think their front end gets priority there, but we will still get our answer in a pretty good amount of time versus writing it ourselves. All right, so let's see. Here's a basic PowerShell script that can check if WinRM is configured on a Windows desktop. Notice I didn't say how to write the script, right? It could have given me something for like Python that might run on Windows, or even like a batch file, but here it used PowerShell. So I can see that it wrote me something here. So get service, name WinRM. It shows if the service is running or not. That looks pretty good. Or it's gonna check this WSMan instance and see if this URI returns the output we're looking for. Fantastic. Now, what if I ask it some more complex stuff? So let's say I wanted to write a PowerShell script to create a text file in every user's documents folder. Now, moving forward in this video, I'm going to skip past the loading time just to kind of keep the runtime reasonable, but we'll see the kind of result it gives us in just a second here. So there you go. It's going to find every user, then it's going to find the documents folder, then it's going to make the file path for that text file and then create the file. So you're good to go. Next up, let's see about something else. So I was working with a client in a call, and I saw that they had a script to run DISM image repair as well as SFC if that was successful. So here we can actually feed a request saying, write a PowerShell script for Windows to run DISM image repair, and then follow up with an SFC scan now. So the nice thing with AI is that you are able to use normal speech. So here, as you can see, I gave it the SFC scan now as a parameter, but I didn't tell it what to run for DISM. So as we run our script, let's take a look at what it comes back with. Awesome, so here it ran a DISM image repair, and then it's running an SFC scan. Now in the past, I have gotten different results. One thing about AI is it can be a little bit different each time. And one tactic I use is to just ask the question again. You can also kind of reformulate it to state it a little bit differently, but I find that sometimes just asking the same question will give you a little bit different of an answer. Alternatively, you can also ask it to make changes to the script. I could say, hey, add error checking for DISM running before you run SFC, and then put all the results in a log, right? So in this case, it's very consistent. It's giving me the same answer today. Let's say like a couple weeks ago, it's giving me a more intense or a more involved answer. So that does happen. Like I said, we can actually just kind of break from our script here and live ask it to do stuff. So let's see, using that script, create error handling for DISM. SFC should only run if DISM has been successful. All right, so in this case, it did do what I asked and it added some error checking. So it gave a little try catch loop there. So if DISM causes an error, if SFC causes an error, it's going to give us that output here. Now again, I will take a look at my previous chat history here with you so you can see the kind of things it wrote in the past given the same prompts, and that's just generally how AI works. It's a very good tool. It can get you like 90% of the way there. Sometimes you have to add the extra 10%, or sometimes it completely nails it. And so maybe if I restate my question a bit, I can get a result that I was actually looking for from like the first time I asked it. Now, next up, let's take a look at more of an issue. So in this case, I want to give it a scenario, and I want to ask it for a script to fix the problem. So the general fix is to go like delete the dot back and then have them re-log in. So here I'm looking for a script that'll fix that for me. So my user logged in, was given a temp profile, write a script to fix this and return them to a normal profile login. Again, very vague on the details of what I'm asking it to do. So it's going to have to know what that temp profile is, what a user is, that I'm referring to Windows in general, and then what language to write a script in and how to fix it. All right, so we have our stuff back. Let's take a look. One thing I said in my webinar, which I'll say again, is AI has been really helpful for me in finding these little intricate ways to handle problems. In this case, I want to give it a username, but I want it to actually find the SID of the user. I have like a way in my head of how I would do it, and it's definitely not this. This is a much cleaner way. So here, it's going to use a username, translate that to an SID, which is fantastic. This is stuff I'm sure we could all research, but it's going to take much longer than it did for this thing to just come back and tell me how to do it, which is awesome. Next up, it's going to look for the user's profile. It's going to find the registry key under HKLM. That looks pretty right to me. Then it's going to check if the profile exists. Check if the user profile registry key exists. It's going to remove that key, and then it's going to let them log back in. So again, it's a little bit different than what I thought before. It's always good to test these scripts, kind of give it a quick spot check to make sure it's what you're looking for. But on that, let's kind of look at the history feature. So like I said before, we're able to go back through our history and see the different conversations we've had. Now I've tested this kind of this walkthrough a couple times to see what I'd get back. So if I look here, I asked very similar questions of even like, hey, ChatBLT, are you working? Asking things like, can you build that profile script? So this one here, same prompt, it gave me a different kind of script, very similar, but here it's actually deleting that dot back key like I wanted. And so with AI, if you kind of poke and prod at it a little bit, it will give you what you're looking for, or at least much closer, and you can finish off that last couple percent. In the case of the DISM script, if you look up here, it wrote this for me, where it gave me like a last exit code for running DISM, which is exactly what I like. That's pretty good. And then if that was successful, then it runs the SFC, again, giving us that last exit code so we know if it failed or if it was successful. Again, fantastic. So it's just down to whatever you need and how you're willing to work with the system. If you look right here, this is actually kind of a false start. I think I was testing my prompts here, and I said write a script. I wasn't super specific, and because I had it write a state for me earlier, it got kind of confused and wrote another state. That's gonna happen, but in theory, if we ran this, it's gonna work. It's gonna run DISM, it's gonna run SFC. And so I do ask that you're a little bit open-minded and you kind of ask the AI for stuff. And I find that if you're willing to iterate on your questions, you can get some really good results. I tend to kind of give it one giant request all at once, which is a bad habit of mine. But as I iterate, then I start getting really good stuff out of it. So that's just a quick look at the ChatBLT feature. By all means, do experiment. Let us know what kind of stuff you're able to build, either by sending your sales rep some information or letting us know on the support side. But for now, that's all I have to show off. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.